And it is a beautiful day up here in Portland, Oregon, and we appreciate everybody joining us. We'll do a couple of housekeeping things here. First off, before we get into the presentation, as always, if you have a yellow book, get the 2018 yellow book and follow along. We're going to basically cover Kapalua Villas today. And if you don't have one, please reach out to me and I will get one of those sent out to you. And if you need a color brochure, please go ahead and contact me on that. And then I know this is all about Hawaii, but we also just recently released our color brochure for Mexico too. So if you need some of those, please reach out to me for that. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put those in the dashboard and we will enter those or answer those at the end of the presentation. For those that do have a 2018 yellow book, go ahead and take out your book and enter any notes that Alani may share with us and anything that's important to you. So with that said, let's go ahead and I'm going to turn over the controls to you, Alani, and you should have the controls. All right.
Okay, I have my little tiny forward arrow ready to go. And so I just want to say good morning, afternoon, everyone, depending on what time it is. And I'm Alani Liu. I'm actually based in Northern California on the western coast. And we're also having a great day. We've been having a lot of rainstorms. And I've been in the region for a number of years representing all of Outrigger hotels. And I also cover a region in the north, several states in the north. So I may have met some of you. In the meantime, I will put our nationwide roster of 3 up at the end of the PowerPoint. And so I'm going to go ahead and basically talk about our Kapalua Resort property on the island of Maui. It's such an expansive resort that we wanted to just give focus of, give it its own webinar. And moving ahead here, let me see what our slide advance time is going to be here. Okay, so I just wanted to reinforce Outrigger Hotels and Resorts umbrella portfolio product. And so we have our hotel properties, beachfront properties throughout our system, Hawaii and all of the other destinations that we represent. And then Kapalua Villas is part of our vacation condominium division by Outrigger. And we have a lot of other cross-branded properties that we handle. So we have a pretty large extent of property portfolio. So it's really great that I'm able to break these out with All About and talk to you guys individually about some of the highlighted aspects of our properties. And so before I go into the Kapalua Villas on Maui, we have been getting a lot of inquiries and attention to the island of Kauai because of the heavy rains that they experienced and flooding and difficulties that they had. And so we were in contact with our properties, our 3 properties over on Kauai, and hearing from our customers and everybody. So our properties are on the west and the south in Poipu and Kapa'a. And most of the storm, the whole island got pretty heavily rained, but the main damage is in the north, which is the Honolulu-Princeville area. So they still are having to deal with a lot of the flooding and landslides, et cetera, that are happening out there. But our properties in Kapa'a and in the south are doing fine. The water has dissipated and everything. It basically was about a day of a heavy rain that they had. So no concerns for your clients. The rest of the islands, we did have some extensive rain on the island of Oahu, but no difficulties with our properties. So if anybody ever has any individual questions about that, feel free to get a hold of me or Brad. And so we'll go ahead and proceed over to the island of Maui to our beautiful Kapalua Resort. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the Kapalua Villas, and we've managed the property. Well, I've been with the company for over 20 years, and we've had the properties since prior to that. It's a pretty extensive resort laid out on 22,000 acres. So that means that there's a lot of diversity and a lot to offer guests that are staying at the property. I also get a lot of inquiries about multiple units booked, where they're going to be located, and we also have agents that visit the property to see the property and get updated. So it's situated on the point here, basically sits above like the Ritz Resort area. It's situated on 3 phases, is like what we like to call them, which are basically surrounding the golf resort, the golf courses that are there. So for the registration at the property, you do need to go to a separate building, which is off the main road, where we have our front desk location. And so, Brad, now the slides are moving themselves. I'm not moving them. So here is one of the views from one of the villas, and I'll talk about the different locations that they're in. 3 different sections of ranging from the top of the property to down to the water. So within the resort and within the phases, you've got 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. With the 3 bedrooms being pretty minimal, those are pretty difficult to get. But they're fully equipped condominiums or villas is what we like to call them, close to beaches, featuring the golf and also featuring the tennis. And can't ignore all of the beaches that are along that coast. There are 3 major beaches. Swimming beaches, surfing beaches, and just a lot of, that's one of the focal points. And then, of course, the golf is a big focus for the families. And sometimes the families are split up and somebody's doing golf and somebody's doing, they're doing different things. But we do have a lot of great golf services offered because the property has been tied to golf from the onset, as well as all of the wonderful tournaments that are held there. We've got a lot of accolades, and you can see the beautiful views from the different parts of the golfing. And they're moving again themselves, so I'll go ahead and see if I can keep up with it. So we've got 3 different phases.
Hold on a second here. So
it's moving itself. So
I don't know why that's doing that. Practice this stuff. This is
sorry,
all
guys.
the.
Oh, okay.
You must have sent this to me and it wasn't doing this during our presentation.
No,
so.
we practiced it. But basically, I was gonna mention that golf is a big focus, but there are certainly other activities, and families come out to enjoy the beaches. And there's a lot of great hiking. They have some zip lining. There's wonderful activities. They're close to going into the Kaanapali or the Lahaina areas or getting around the island. So it's not necessarily that everybody is only going to Kapalua for the golf. One of the other things that we see a lot of with Kapalua is multiple units being booked. I'd say over half of the time I hear from agents they have a couple of units or more. So if you have families that are maybe having a wedding party type of scenario where many of the family members want to have flexibility and independence, they will stay at the condos and not necessarily the wedding resort location. So that's where we see, and then we just get the multiple units where we have several units booked. And I'll talk a little bit about how we handle the multiple unit requests. Let me see, are we back in business here? So
should be.
Okay. Some of the again, beautiful views from the Gulf. We'll move past that since we got that point across. But one of the aspects of the Gulf is that there are 3 courses, and so the units are situated based on they're affiliated with the different courses, ranging from the high down to the bays, which are the lowers above the water. Then you have your Kapalua tennis facility, which is centrally located where all of the shops and restaurants are within the Kapalua Resort. Here are some of the restaurants at the resort. They're pretty consistent at this point. They have a few changing here and there. I've always loved the Pineapple Grill and the Plantation House. Just every time I go to Kapalua, those are the ones that I love to go to because you can look over the courses. But they're all lovely restaurants, and the little gift shop where you can go in, it also has great food if you want to have a casual meal. So these are the three different phases of the property. And so we'll talk about how those categories work when you're making your bookings, with the ridge being the upper location. The bays are going to be down on the water or flowing from the water up, and then the Gulf would be central in one of the central Gulf areas. Within the different phases, you have ocean views. It's just going to be higher to lower. So here's an example of some of the views of the Gulf views, but you can see that it's rolling out over the trees, and then you do have some ocean views out there. Even when you have a fairway view, you may have some ocean view, but we are not going to categorize it as ocean view. And then some of the ridge, you can see they're a little bit higher up. And then the bays are going to be right down on the water primarily. And within the assignments, you've got your standard categories, and then you've got your gold categories. And many agents that have been booking Kapalua over the years are very familiar with this. So sometimes people aren't really quite sure what the differences are. And my general manager, who's been with the property for a number of years, kind of tried to give me a little bit of a definitive explanation of this, with what the differences between the standards and the golds. With the golds being more of a updated, more deluxe type of furnishing, where the standards are going to be your casual Hawaiian decor. So they're going to be the same square footage. They can be situated within the same phase of units. They're just going to be more of an upgraded unit. And I do hear many agents getting back to me about that they do book their clients in the gold category. I wouldn't say that the standard versus the gold are dated as much, but they're just not going to be as current in the decor between the wood and the existing standard type of decor. So again, it's going to be more like your typical Maui condominium with the standards, and then the golds are going to have more of the beautiful granite countertops, the cabinetry, and kind of more of those special designer touches in the units. And then here's a couple of bedroom differences. So you can just see the standards are going to be just that more casual type of decor. And we're trying to be, since we've had this property, we really put a lot of effort into consistency, trying to keep them as consistent as possible, which you will see a lot more of that happening with the gold units. Much more of an investment by those owners, because these are all individually owned, that we have to deal with each individual owner. The challenges of being a management company. Recently, we did implement housekeeping services, so we do not have automatic housekeeping. So we do have the what we like to call a type of a la carte housekeeping, where they can request housekeeping during their stay for a charge. And what we found with the housekeeping, again, this was implemented by our owners, and we're competing with like the VRBOs and the Airbnbs, and so it's a real challenge to make sure that we're keeping our owners parity with the outside bookings. But we find that when we have housekeeping staff on hand, that if they go in on an automatic basis to clean a room like a hotel, they over half of the time they're turned away, because condominium guests don't like to have the interruption of a housekeeping coming in. So we're asked by our owners to implement a la carte services. So if a guest does not want housekeeping, they can wait till they check out, and we have a mandatory cleaning fee, and then the units are pretty well maintained during their stay. So these are kind of some of the new things that have come out over the past few years with condominiums, in that because of staffing and services, they're not operated as a hotel, necessarily identical to a hotel. So we want to make sure that we have those services available for our guests. We do have a resort fee with this property, and again, that's just something that we actually had the resort fee from the time we took over the property. So we wanted to make sure that we threw as much into that, included in that resort fee as we possibly could. So you've got a lot of inclusions here with that. And people come up to the resort, they stay in the resort. They don't necessarily go outside of the resort maybe a couple times. So the resort shuttle is appreciated, and then just all of the other services within the resort. And then we hear from, again, I hear from a lot of agents about the bookings, and this is for all of the condominiums in our collection. So when you're booking multiple units, just book them in the same category, and then let me know, and we can try and place them within the same vicinity or the same phase. Basically, all of the units, I would say there's very few of them that do not have some sort of stair that you need to be able to manage, negotiate. And that's coming in from the outside or even inside the units. You'll go up to bedrooms by taking a couple of stairs. So when you have guests that do not handle stairs well, that's something to keep in mind when booking this property. Again, we have similar decor but not identical. And we will place, again, the lead time with placing villas near each other is really the best way to go. Just let us know as soon as you have a booking that they are requesting to be in the same vicinity. And then we don't have a storage area where we keep rollaways and cribs, so therefore we have an outside service that we can suggest for this. And again, we have a lot of guests that come out and are always requesting this. If you're booking, especially if you're booking with All About, they can put this request in the booking. And then when you have a lot of guests coming together or several units, just let us know. And the categories that they're booked in, so certain categories are easier to book than others when you have multiple units. And it's a commonly done thing with all of our condos. So with our Outrigger corporate Outrigger expert agent program, I'm sure that many of you guys are already registered with this program. This enables you to collect your condominium booking bonus, send your amenity on your bookings, and participate in a lot of the special exclusive travel agent programs that we have. And then you can still continue to keep bookings, putting your bookings through All About. But just remember to keep that in mind. And I think that was everything that I had for Kapalua. And we're able to take any questions that you guys have. And just want to say thank you guys and All About for your support.